An Italian celebrates in the Giro d'Italia 2024, stage 4, finishing here in Andora, right over my shoulders. And the Italian, well, that's the big, tall Jonathan Milan, Team Lidl Trek, winning what many build as a world championships for sprinters here in this Italian Grand Tour, because there are so many top names racing. Guys who have to sacrifice maybe their chances at the Tour de France to race here in the Giro d'Italia, but they have plenty of opportunities, and I'll get to that later. Today it was Jonathan Milan bringing home the victory after a great Lidl Trek team work. Right behind him, well, that was Caden Groves, the Australian, fast finishing from Team Alpecin de Koenig. In third place, Phil Bauhaus, Bahrain victorious. Olaf Koy from Visma Lease Bike in fourth place, and in fifth, yesterday's stage winner Tim Merlier from Soudal Quick Step in the Maglia Ciclamino, that purple jersey. Well, it's Jonathan Milan now leading the points competition, holding the purple jersey after his stage win here today, stage 4. Last year he took his first stage win in the Giro d'Italia. It was stage 2. It took him a couple more days this year to get it, but he bagged it. And an important win because the Italian over the off season switched from Team Bahrain Victorious to join Lidl Trek. Definitely wanted to prove himself after signing a 3-year contract deal, and also wanted to prove himself against top sprinters, a field like you'd normally see at the Tour de France, and we find here at the Giro d'Italia. The Italian roared when he crossed the finish line, letting out so much excitement and joy. He was led out by Jasper Stuyven, Eddie Toons, and then Simone Consoni to get to the finish line, holding off a fast-charging Caden Groves, who didn't seem to have a lead-out man, but he found his way through the group and nearly got the better of Jonathan Milan. We saw a good lead-out from Visma Lease Bike, the Dutch team, from European champion Christophe Laporte, doing his job for Olaf Koy, but they were unable to pull it off. Also, you might have noticed Biniam Girmay was not in the mix, and I'll get to why. Because earlier in the day, well, we began the day in Piemonte. We'd spent 3 days up there in the northwest, where this Grand departed on Saturday from Torino, the capital of the region. After 3 full days in Piemonte, including a stage win by Tadej Pogacar, who now holds the leader's pink jersey, today's stage 4 began in Acqui Terme. Then we rolled out of town underneath rain, and as soon as they went over the hills, dropped down to the seaside here, reaching Savona. Then it was a flat run-in to the finish line, going over the Capo Melle, one of the Tre Capi in Milano San Remo, the 3 little climbs that lead up to the Cipressa and Poggio. As soon as we got here to the coastline, well, it was sunny business, and we needed it after a couple days of rain. But it wasn't all sunshine and lollipops. We had a few different incidents along the way. Around about 70 to 60 kilometers to go, we saw a couple crashes. One was a few different riders who'd gone down. Slowest to get up was GC rider Ben O'Connor from Decathlon Le Mondial. He got back on his bike, continued racing. Just a few kilometers later, that was the rider I was referring to, Girmay, the Thracian rider from Team Intermarché Wanty, went down on a wet road just by himself, slowly, and then finally off the right-hand side, unfortunately crashed. But let's start talking about the sprint, because that's what everybody was hoping for today. Yesterday we had a sprint, but it was nearly derailed by Tadej Pogacar following the wheel of Mikel Honoré, and then with Geraint Thomas up there in the mix before Tim Merlier had his shot at stage victory. Today, Tadej didn't go out on the attack, but he still had a little bit of a busy day out there, just watching everything and making sure he stayed out of trouble. He told me over there in the mix zone afterwards that his boy Milano, he wanted to have him have a shot, but unfortunately he had mechanical problems before the final, which didn't bode well for him.
Well, today Milano had quite a tough day. He crashed, had a bike change in the last 15 kilometers, so bike change here on these roads in the last 15 kilometers is really difficult, especially when you don't have a team that is structured around you. So yeah, it's a tough Giro for him for sure, but I think he's enjoying it so far, and he will try to win some stage.
The thing the riders had to look out for was that small climb, Capo Melle, coming in before the finish, around 3 kilometers to go. Heading into that climb, at the base, none other than another big boy, Filippo Ganna, another Italian, went on the attack. We saw Ineos was setting up for something as they were doing yesterday with Geraint Thomas. Well, today is Filippo Ganna disrupting affairs, going on the attack, going over the Capo Melle first, and then descending down here along the coastline to go for the sprint victory, well, the solo victory. They caught him at 500 meters to go. Back behind, there were two riders that were chasing. One was a Bor Hansgrohe rider I'm for sure of, was Danny Van Poppel. I forget, Andre Pascalon, I think, was the other rider from Intermarché. Want to correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. They were both chasing. They got swept up, but the peloton was hot on the heels of Filippo Ganna, who has a lot of power, pursuit, hour record, putting it all down to try to get a stage victory, but 500 meters to go, he faded. The group behind was fully revved up with the power of Lidl Trek, charging for the finish line. Simone Consone doing the lead out, the final bit of work to get Jonathan Milan over the finish line first, 23-year-old from Friuli, about 193 centimeters tall. You have to do the feet to inches on that one, but he's a tall boy, softly spoken though, even despite that loud roar that he let out over the finish line, and does a fair bit of English, so we were able to speak with him there at the finish line. Now I want to talk about the riders here, how important it is for them to win at the Giro d'Italia, because for some of these guys, it's their big grand tour of the year, as is the case with Jonathan Milan, because we'll see at the Tour de France, Mads Pedersen doing the sprints and the hard little uphill kickers, and Matthias Skilmos with the GC, so they have other objectives there. Same with Caden Groves from Alpecin de Koenig, because there at the Tour de France, of course, they have Jasper Philipsen, who's going to be heading up the charge for the sprints, as too is the case with Caleb Ewan from Jayco Alula, who didn't feature up in the top 5 today, but in the Tour de France, the team goes with Dylan Groenewegen for the sprints. So those guys really want to do something here in the Italian Tour, so it's about dividing and conquering. And for Lidl Trek, well, they've done that already here on stage 4, celebration for Jonathan Milan. And one more day for the sprinters tomorrow. Maybe we'll see Tadej Pogacar in the pink jersey giving a hand to Sebastian Milano, along with his dedicated lead-out man, Rui Oliveira. Maybe they'll pull off something. Maybe Tadej will go out on the attack on his own. It's the last important day for the sprinters, which I count maybe 7 stages, 6 or 7 sprint stages in this Giro d'Italia. And then we have a lot of other difficult stages, and they're coming up fast on the horizon. Tomorrow's stage finish is in Lucca. We cross from Liguria over into Tuscany, and then after that, we're treated with a gravel stage, which I think is on Friday if I'm already losing. No, I think it's Thursday. I'm already losing count. Then we have a TT on Friday. Then Saturday, a summit finish stage. And Sunday, a bit of kind of a nothing stage where we're heading into Napoli before a well-earned rest day after Sunday's stage. So tomorrow, tune back in for another Sprinters World Championships. But today, we're all celebrating. Chapeau to Jonathan Milan. Grazie mille for letting us all celebrate, letting all the Italian home fans celebrate a victory for an Italian in the 2024 Giro d'Italia.